welcome back to the channel. And today a book haul for you. And do you ever just go and buy a lot of books? So maybe you're on eBay and you see a book that is being sold, but it's part of a job lot, and you have the opportunity to pay a higher price, but you're going to get several books for that price. Well, recently I paid about £25 or about $30 in the US for a selection of hardback fantasy books. It was 11 books in total, and it included some books such as this. The Adamantine Throne, or the Adamantine Palace, sorry. It's book one in the Memory of Flames series of books. This one, they're not always a hit when you buy a big job lot of books. It's not always what you're looking for. This I'd never heard of. The reviews aren't great, but it does sell for £4 to £5 in the UK, or about $5 in the US. So there was a saving, seeing as I only paid roughly £2 or $2 to $3 per book for each of these. Another book I wasn't quite familiar with is this book here, The Still Remains. This again is another book in a series, and this is part of a Land Fit for Heroes trilogy. This also sells for about £5 or $6. If you know of some of these series, or if you've got experiences with these books, please leave them in the comments below, so I can kind of do a bit of investigation myself and see if these are worth adding to the old TBR. Another book was the Cardinal's Blades, and I believe that is the trilogy is also called the Cardinal's Blades. This one again is another one I hadn't heard a lot about. The Cardinal's Blades, it is a book series that sells again fairly cheaply. The hardbacks go for about £5 or $6. So again, probably saved about 50% on this one here. A book I had seen before and heard of was this one here, Stormcaller by Tom Lloyd. This one goes for a little bit more. Stormcaller, I believe, can sell for, you know, kind of upwards of kind of $30, $40. So to get this one as part of the series, it's in pretty decent condition as well, as part of the lot, was quite a big saving. And next up is a classic fantasy book, one I was very much aware of, which is Magician by Raymond E. Feist. Now this originally came out in the US as two books, two paperbacks, but Raymond E. Feist, I think it was about 10 years later, he collected them together, both books together, and he added all of his original content that was taken out. And this is now like the building blocks of what became like the Rift War cycle or series of books. It's quite a chunky book, and this one can sell for quite a bit more than I paid. I believe this is probably going to set you back by about kind of like $7 maybe, rather than the kind of $2 that I paid for it. So a little bit of a good find. Not an easy to find this particular copy. This was the 25th anniversary edition. There are several different anniversary editions depending on when they were published. Another classic fantasy series is the Shannara books, and the original sort of Shannara trilogy had a prequel. This is it, the first King of Shannara. Not a particularly hard book to find, but if you do find this particular hardback, it's probably going to cost you about £5 or $6. One kind of type of fantasy book that I haven't really had a lot of exposure to is Portal Fantasy, and I believe that The War of the Flowers is a kind of portal fantasy made by Tad Williams. He's obviously more famous for his series of books, including the Dragonbone Chair. So this one is not one that I had planned to read, but it was in there with the lot. So one book I see very often, especially when I'm going to kind of thrift shops, charity shops, car boots and stuff, is Trudy Canavan's. She's got a series of A Magician's Apprentice books. This is actually the prequel to that trilogy, so it's actually 4 books in the series. And this one, even though if you were to go to a second-hand bookshop, you're probably going to pay £5 or £6 for this in hardback, you can actually see this quite often out and about for about £3 or £4 or about $5. So not as big a saving on this one, but a book that I've been seeing around a lot and I now own. One book I already own in paperback form is The Lies of Locke Lamora. Now this particular Dust Jacket release, the kind of original run of this book, is harder to find now because it has been re-released in a more modern cover. and this is starting to get up there in price. Don't be surprised if you see this kind of $15 or $20 to pick up one of these now, and crazy money for a first edition. It's like $100 or something crazy, but this is not a first edition, it's just a first run. Another book that will cost you a little bit more these days to get in the hardback is the standalone Joe Abercrombie books, Best Served Cold being one of the first of those. And this will set you back about £17 to £18 or about $20. So to get that for a couple of pounds is obviously a really good saving, and it is a book that will be hitting my TBR in the next year or two. Another book I own in paperback form is The Name of the Wind, the first book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Again, this one will set you back a little bit. You could probably pick up for about £15 to £20. I could not find any. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find any for less than £20 currently. So expect to pay $20 to $25 for a hardback copy of Name of the Wind at the moment. So I think it's obvious from that you can make quite a large saving by buying a Joblot, and maybe you only wanted 1 or 2 books out of there, but the extra value you will get, like today, I spent £25 or $30. The books that I showed off here in this haul would have cost you, if you actually needed to buy them, which is obviously not going to be the case, but if you had to go and find these all in this condition in hardback form, would have been around £120 or $150. So the saving could be as much as £90 to £95 or $120. So this is definitely one way you can save some money and get a lot of good books. All right, thanks guys. If you've ever had a Joblot haul like this, please leave it in the comments below. I'd like to hear of your best Joblot.